What is up, everybody? Your boy Joey Works back. Baseball's right around the corner. 7 days until it starts. Holy. I'm ready to roll. We're going to do some division previews here. Division by division. This one I'm going to do solo. Most of them I'll have a guest with me. I'm going to start with the NL West here for my people. I do appreciate everybody hanging out. If you're hanging out, write me positive mojo in the chat or whatever. I would appreciate that. Thank you, everybody, again, for tuning in. We should have another successful, fun baseball season as we have had the last, 5 years. A lot of profits, a lot of fun. So let's keep this thing rolling. I'm going to get right into it. If you guys have any questions, send them in the chat. But we're going to start with the NL West here. So obviously, the first one, I'm basically going to do it based on where I think they're going to finish. So I do think first in the NL West, finally beating the Dodgers, is the San Diego Padres. So this team obviously went after it last year right before the trade deadline and adding Juan Soto. And then they made a big splash in free agency, obviously adding Mr. Xander Bogaerts. So Bogaerts has hit at least 28, or he batted at least 288 with double-digit home runs in his last 5 seasons. Obviously, he's a bit of a liability on the defensive end, but not like the Padres aren't used to that. They also added Nelly Cruz, 50-year-old Nelly Cruz, and Mr. Matt Carpenter over from the Yankees. I don't expect the same numbers for Carpenter, obviously, as Petco Park isn't as lefty hitter-friendly as Yankee Stadium was, but let's not forget Fernando Tatis should be back as well. I know he's going to miss the first couple. I don't exactly remember how many games, but he's going to miss the first couple months, I guess, and then he'll be back. But this team should be motivated. He should be motivated. This team should be motivated. 2 years ago, this guy led baseball with an average exit velocity of almost 100 miles an hour. So I do expect him to be back, ready to roll, playing the outfield, which should, I guess, maybe help his defense. I know I did see a video of him in the outfield, and wasn't very pretty, but it is what it is. Manny Machado, obviously, he did rake in the World Baseball Classic. He just got a fat, long paycheck from the Padres this offseason as well. He did finish second in NL MVP, and he hit 32 homers, 100 RBIs last season. They also have Jay Cronedaddy, who continues to impress around the league and the management, and Hung Sung Kim, who, last year was his first season, or this is his third season. I think last year was his second season. This is his third season after coming over from the KBO. And he had some big hits in the postseason last year, and all around he had a solid season. So they did add Adam Engel and Rognan Odor, who will likely play key roles off the bench as well for this offense. The rotation looks like it did last year. Pretty damn good. Blake Snell, Yu Darvish, Joe Musgrove, 1, 2, 3, whatever you want to put 1, 2, and 3. But I mean, you guys know last year was very high in this rotation going into playoffs. And if this is the same rotation, if these guys stay healthy, this is the 1, 2, 3 come playoff time. Again, I'm going to be pretty high on them. They did add Michael Wacha here, so he'll likely be in the 4 or 5 spot in the rotation. And then Nick Martinez or Seth Lugo it'll likely be Nick Martinez, with Seth Lugo getting a couple starts during the season as well. They also do have Adrian Morejon, or Morihan. So he was a top prospect for this team. He throws gas, and he could likely get some starts this year after, he pitched out of the bullpen all of last year, but he currently is hurt. So he will start the season on the IL. The bullpen, somewhat in question, but last year they were definitely a strength. They added Josh Hader right before the deadline, arguably the best closer in the game. I know he struggled before coming over, but he pitched pretty well in the Padres. And then a name that you don't really know that has really good stuff, Robert Suarez. He leans heavily on his 98-mile-per-hour fastball, limited opponents to a 171 batting average against last year. Luis Garcia, another flamethrower they have in the pen, averaged almost 100 miles per hour on his fastball, mixes in an elite slider, should round out the end of this bullpen. They do have Drew Pomerantz, who's trying to make a comeback. He hasn't pitched in 2021, so don't hold your breath on that one. But this team is finally, I think, ready to rival the Dodgers. The Dodgers are still the favorite to win this division just because primarily I would say their name, but plus 120 to win the NL West on the Padres. Not terrible. 93.5 set as their win total. I kind of lean over. I kind of like them to win the NL West at a plus money. I think it probably only gets better, especially if they start the season off a little, they struggle to start the season. That number should get better. Betting that over 93.5 is definitely quite tempting. Last year, the line was a game higher at 94.5. They didn't have half the firepower of, Juan Soto, of Xander Bogaerts. So they definitely made some improvements in the offseason. The rotation is basically the same, or again, one game extra over. So I am kind of interested in that, but I'm not going to make that an official play. Shout out to chat. Mike Carr, baseball, Johnny Mangini, my guy, Ray. What up, Ray? Mike Whalen, Post Degenerate Stoner. What up, baby? Just here for them 40-1 dogs like the Giants last year or year after that. Grateful Joe. Hey, much love. Edibles and shatter for days. Yep. Whatever he said. All right. On to the next team in the division I do have is the Dodgers. It should be more of a battle with the Padres, but on paper, the Padres are personally scarier to me. Dodgers are still projected 96.5 wins. They did lose a lot of big players, including Trey Turner, Justin Turner, Cody Bellinger, a couple pitchers who had good season, Tyler Anderson, Andrew Heaney, Craig Kimbrell. I don't think Kimbrell's a big loss, but the other guys definitely should pay dividends here. In the core is basically still intact and young. I know they did add JD Martinez, who is the opposite of young, Jason Hayward, Noah Syndergaard, and Shelby Miller, David Peralta, who are all vets that they try to get over for cheap because supposedly they're opening up the checkbook for Shohei Ohtani. But I'm hearing a lot of teams are trying to do that, so that'll be fun. Obviously, they still have Mookie Betts at the top of the lineup, arguably one of the best players in baseball. Freddie Freeman, 1-2. Freeman led the league in multiple offensive categories last year: hits, doubles, on base percentage, and tied for runs scored. They did lose Gavin Lux during spring training, so that opens up the second base spot for Miguel Vargas, who is a 23-year-old, hasn't hit under 300 in any of his last 4 minor league seasons. I know during spring training, he was hurt a little bit, so he's just up there getting timing. I know like the first 8 games, he just went up there and did not swing. He still walked like 8 times because God knows what happens on the other end. But he should be ready to go, or 75% ready to go opening day. So you'll likely see a lot of Miguel Vargas this year, especially if he produces. Will Smith, Max Muncy, JD Martinez, likely 3, 4, 5 spots. Obviously, Muncy struggled last year. He struggled the last couple of years, His strikeout numbers were up last year. He did still slug 21 homers. David Peralta and Trace Thompson, who is they'll likely get a lot of action in the outfield this year. I remember we were watching World Baseball Classic, and we're like, is David Peralta on a team? Yeah, he's on the Dodgers, and maybe opening day starter. Otherwise, he'll be the 4th outfielder off the bench. So that should be fun. Miggy Rowe, a fan favorite in Miami, first full season in Dodger blue, should be everyday starter. I do like the guy, plays very hard. And they also, let's not forget about rookie James Ottman. He has made the opening day roster. He had a really good spring, and he hit 31 homers last year in the minors. So I do expect this guy to make a splash as well. And the Dodgers, they really have nothing to lose. They might as well let these young guys play here, maybe get a little spark out of them and lead them to win the division. But the rotation is really the question mark. I kind of think it's shaky this year. Kershaw has started to regress. He's still a solid 2-3 in this league, especially in the National League. Julio Urias, who was the ace, last year, likely to be the ace again this year. He led the NL with a 2.16 ERA last season, made an all-star team, held batters to under 200 batting average against. Obviously, Gosselin also had a really good year last year. He will begin on the IL. He had 16 wins last year, first all-star appearance, but he did come back to life during the playoffs and the last year. And then 4, 5, 6, it looks like they're going to depend on Noah Syndergaard, who I do not trust, and Dustin May to round out the rotation. They both pitched last year after getting Tommy John in 2021. Syndergaard likely struggle because his fastball velocity isn't there, but May has been thrown in the high 90s, and his curveball spin rate was in the 100 percentile. So I do expect Dustin May to pitch good. I personally am keeping him in my keeper fantasy season-long league. So I am rooting for the guy, but Noah Syndergaard is, probably, he's more like an opener, I think, or, he could pitch 2, 3 solid innings. I don't really trust him past that, but every team has a bad starter, so that should be fine. Bullpen should be anchored by Daniel Hudson, who missed the last three months of the season last year, but he was pretty good when healthy. Gratterall is a monster. He throws 99 miles per hour. They did work out arbitration with him, so he's back. The rest of the pen looks like Evan Phillips, who they got from the Rays last year, pitched pretty damn good. Alex Vesia and Caleb Ferguson, and the Dodgers always find guys that produce in the bullpen, so I'm not really worried about that. The team is good, but I don't think it's as good as years prior. They are favorites to win the NL West. As I mentioned, at minus 125, which I have zero interest in. Over under set at 96.5, which is 7 games lower than last year. Kind of intriguing that the Dodgers did not make the playoffs. Plus 510 via FanDuel. I get it. The MLB did add the additional teams to make the playoffs, so it is a reach. But there is a little value on that. Plus 510 to not to make the playoffs. I know Johnny Nelson doesn't want to hear that, but hey, man. It's value time. So let's see what the chat's got. Joey, what's good? Tyler, what up, my guy? Share, subscribe. Yeah, hit the like button. I would appreciate you guys hitting the like button. I am trying to get a promo code for anyone who wants to sign up for RunPureBets. Let me see if they answer me on a promo code. I know a couple guys want me to use their promo code, but I'm trying to get my own promo code so that people get on here, you know? Let's see. Did I get a response? Coordinators. Here we go. Nope. All right. Well, we'll keep rolling here. So third in the division, I do have the Arizona Diamondbacks. My hat. D-backs, baby. I do have them coming in third in this division. I get a lot of people who put the Giants here, but I do think the Diamondbacks take a step forward, especially with the young talent in this organization. Zach Gallen was the best starter on the team last year. He set career best in starts, ERA, innings, and WHIP. He had a 44-inning scoreless streak going last year, and Merrill Kelly really took a step forward as well, as we've seen him pitch in the World Baseball Classic, but he did use his 5-pitch mix to improve his ERA, really worked on his location. He posted a 3.02 ERA away at hitter-friendly Chase Field last year, which is pretty damn impressive. 3 spot looks like Madison Bumgarner, whose numbers continue to decline and will likely be a pitcher I'm betting against a lot this year, so I'm not really high on Madison Bumgarner, but Zach Davies, Ryan Nelson, and Dre Jameson will likely round out the rotation. Ryan Nelson, he struggled this spring, but in his 2 starts last season, he pitched really good against the foes of the NL West in the Dodgers and Padres, and he has been known as a strikeout artist in the minors. So I do expect some positive regression from him, and then it's just where they're going to fill out that last 5th spot. The bullpen is in question, as they don't have a go-to closer. They'll depend on Kevin Grinkle and Joe Manaply for the committee, it looks like. Manaply was an all-star last year. He was a lefty. He sported a 54% ground ball rate and more than a strikeout per inning. He does lack the velocity on his fastball, so likely I would think he'll be the setup man with Grinkle being the closer. Grinkle also had a lot of closing experience in the minors. He has an upper 90s fastball. Mark Melanson is also back, but he started to slate on the IL this year with a right shoulder strain. They did add Miguel Castro from the Yankees and Andrew Chafin in the late innings to mix in there. They did sign a couple vets to minor league deals, hoping they can help the major league roster sometime this season in Ian Kennedy, Reyes Moroto, and Jerry's Familia. So likely, 2, maybe all 3 of them make the roster, and we'll likely see them in the bullpen this year as well. As for the lineup, I do think he gets a big boost with Corbin Carroll, the likely leadoff man for this team, top prospect, 22-year-old. He's hitting 371 this year, or 371 in spring training so far, 10 runs scored. He's a clear 30-30 guy, in my opinion, if he's playing every day. Ketel Marte is back. He did hit a clear career low last year of 240, but I think he's going to be quite better this year. He's locked in the second base position. I know Riley last year was playing a little center field, playing a little second base. They're moving him back to second base. They're saying no more games here. And the lineup should get a little boost with Corbin Carroll in there. So I think it just helps everybody all around. Christian Walker continues to get better. He earned a Gold Glove last year, slugged 31 homers. He had career highs in homers and RBIs last season. The team did add Lourdes Gurriel over from the Blue Jays as well. He's in a contract year, so I expect some improvements from only hitting 5 homers last year in Toronto. I definitely expect some improvements from him because the big man wants to get paid. Nick Ahmed, best defensive shortstop in baseball. He saved 51 runs more than the average shortstop since 2018, so he's basically can't hit, but he's a great defensive player. Josh Rojas has improved at the dish, significantly cutting down a strikeout rate. Alex Thomas, another guy. He's only 22, former top prospect. It didn't translate last year in the majors, but, he has a big chance this year to lock down that center fielder spot and prove his worth. Jake McCarthy, Evan Longoria, Kyle Lewis, all additions. I know they added Evan Longoria, Kyle Lewis from the Giants and the Mariners, respectively. And then Seth Beer, another guy, likely to get playing time off the bench, lock down this offense. This team continues to build through their cost-friendly youth, and in my opinion, They're still a couple arms away from competing in the National League, but plus 4,000 to win the division. I mean, that's likely not going to happen, so I'm not going to do it. But over under team wins 75.5. I have a hard lean to the over 75.5. I mean, they won 74. Excuse me. They won 74 games last year, and they only got better. So, yeah, to make the playoffs plus 430, it is a high wish, but another nice little value spot if you're interested in that. I do think the Giants will be on to the next team. I do think the Giants will be decent this year, but division has grown more and more parity. So I don't know, and after winning the NL West title in 2021 and 107 wins, they welcome back to reality last year. They finished 81-81, third in division, and they lost their big hog, Carlos Rondon, and watched a lot of other free agents decline offers. So the rotation is full of question marks everywhere you look, past Logan Webb. The only one I can really get behind is Logan Webb, but he's been getting shelled thus far in spring training. He has a 5.54 ERA thus far. And last year he did set career highs in start strikeouts while keeping the ground ball rate at an elite level. Can you replicate that? He probably can, but then where do we go after that? The rest of the rotation are vets who could play on my men's league team. We got Alex Cobb, Sean Manaea, Ross Stripling, and Alex Wood. Cobb's the best of the bunch. Pitched 150 innings last year, the most since 2018. Sean Manaea, I mean, he stinks. He had a terrible 2022, ERA near 5, gave him a shit ton of homers. His changeup was ineffective. The guy just kept leaving the ball up and getting smacked. Ross Stripling coming over for Toronto. He does have some recognition of this division, being that he pitched for the Dodgers in 2019, but another guy that I don't fully trust, Alex Wood. An ERA over 5 last year. Wouldn't be surprised if we see New Jersey native Anthony DeSclafani in the rotation before you know it, because these 4 guys, I mean, the Giants could have a totally different rotation come October. They could have Logan Webb and 4 different guys come October that I mentioned right now. So vitality is crazy with this rotation. And I expect manager Gabe Kapler to rely heavily on his bullpen as he did last year. Camilo Doval has planted himself as one of the best closers in baseball after last season. His control is a little bit in question, definitely could be better, but when you average 100 miles an hour on your fastball, you should be able to get the job done. They have both Rogers brothers now, Taylor and Tyler Rogers. They'll be used in matchup situations. Jake Punis, John Braba, who pitched in a league-high 76 games last year. Scott Alexander, who should be back after injury, should be make this bullpen a little bit better. And I do expect a lot of innings from this bullpen, as I mentioned, because the starters are very, very much in question. This team did add Michael Conforto and Mitch Haniger the offseason, who both should immediately slot into a starting role. Conforto missed the entire 2022 season due to shoulder surgery, but he has 30 home run upside easily. And Haniger is 2 years removed from 39 homer and 100 RBI season. So Brandon Belt, who was the starting first baseman for near a decade for this team, is gone. Looks like Lamont Wade will handle that this year. 36-year-old Brandon Crawford just resigned, and he'll play the most games in shortstop history for this Giants team. Marco Luciano is waiting in the wings, but he only played 65 games last season due to an injury. So I expect him to start in the minors and likely come up. Joey Bart obviously has not lived up to the hype here. He was overmatched last year, 30% strikeout rate, 215 batting average. Mike Yastrzemski showed some offensive decline himself last year, but he's obviously an asset on a defensive end. Wilmer Flores, Tiago Estrada, and Jock Peterson should all have meaningful at-bats for this team as well. So the offense is not terrible, but I'm afraid who's going to get outs for this team in the starting rotation. I think this team is around 500, probably under that. So over-under set at 81.5 games. Again, they play 162, so that would mean they would be 82-80 to go over that. I do lean under here, plus 1,400 to win the division. If you're interested if you like the Giants, if you're a Giants homer, have fun with that. I am not betting that. Last but not least, the Colorado Rockies. This team could easily be better than the Giants, possibly even the Diamondbacks this year. They look a lot like they did in 2021, as the team didn't do much to assess the 94 losses from last season. They did add Jurickson Profar and Mike Moustakas. Those are the main offseason acquisitions, but who should play daily. But the likes of Chris Bryant, who only played 42 games last season, if he plays a full season, definitely should improve this team. CJ Cron, he slammed 22 of his 29 homers in Coors Field last year, but he could be pushed for playing time as first-round draft pick Mike Toglia looks like he's ready to go. Charlie Blackmon, obviously still a force in Coors, drove in 78 RBIs for his second consecutive season. Brandon Rogers, who we saw will miss the entire season of getting hurt in spring training. This basically opens up the spot for top prospect Ezekiel Tovar, who likely was going to play in the majors this season anyway. They did rush him through Double-A last year while he showcased his elite batting skills, power, and speed, and he's very, very good defensive player as well. Elias Diaz, I mean, he played pretty damn well last season. He showed some power at the catcher position and had nearly 30% success rate throwing out batters in his career. So rotation is really another question mark for this team. You know, they play half their games in Coors Field, so that's not good. Herman Marquez made 30-plus starts last year, but his strikeout rate has continued to decline, and he got hit hard a lot last year. Kyle Freeland has a 6 ERA in Coors last year. Lefty split show that he's far better versus lefties than righties. Jose Arena is the number 3 starter here. I mean, the guy has a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, but he is not good. He only has 6% strikeout rate. Lefties batted over 330 versus this guy. Austin Gomber, Ryan Feltner looked to close out the 5-man rotation. Full of question marks. The bullpen. So the pitching really is the question. The whole bullpen starting rotation, really the question mark was the team. Daniel Bard got a contract extension, but I definitely expect some regression for him. I don't know if you guys watched the World Baseball Classic. This guy pitched, who was it against? Venezuela. The guy hit 3 people. He walked another, couldn't find the zone. He was all over the place. This was in Miami. I can't imagine in Coors Field. He did have a career best year last season, 54 save, but I can almost guarantee that's not happening again. Pierre Johnson, who they got over from the Padres, he worked only 15 games last year, but he should be a solid setup man. Dennis and Lamet has also boggled with injuries his whole career, also a former Padre over here. Brett Sutter, also another guy they added, should get meaningful at-bats for this team. But and Brad Hand, another guy that, you know, once was pretty damn good in this league, servicer man. God knows what he's going to produce, but that's what their bullpen looks like. So the Rockies are the only team in the NL to not win their division, and guess what? It's not happening again this year. Can they play meaningful games at the end of the year? I guess, but we need to see what's going on with this rotation and the bullpen board before to believe it. Plus 15,000 to win the division. That means $1 wins $150 to win the division. Put $1 on it. Why the fuck not? You're just, I mean, you give away dollars to, you know, donate it to charity. Plus 2,500 to make the playoffs. Over under 65.5 wins. I'm just going to stay away from it. But so my best bet for the NL West is the Arizona Diamondbacks over 75.5 wins, minus 110 via FanDuel. That's me, my best bet for this division. I'm likely going to put that up. I know last year I think I went 5-1 on my best bets for the divisions, and I didn't make any of them like official, but I'm going to put this one on the RunPureBets spreadsheet. So for one unit, Arizona Diamondbacks over 75.5 wins for one unit. I do appreciate everybody. I will continue to knock out these division previews. I'll continue to knock out these division previews before the season starts. Gerardo Hernandez, what up, my guy? Javion Shuey, how you doing? Great info, great work as always. Thank you, Natisfy. I'll take over on strikeouts for Arena versus Joey Work. Yeah, I'm sure you can fucking strike me out, bro. I haven't played. Like, what are you talking about? I'm not in the majors. I'm here telling you about the game. But yeah, Urena can strike me out. Good one, Natisfy. Sure he can strike you out too. I bet I can strike you out, pal. All right. Well, I do appreciate you all. I'll be back. Likely do another video tomorrow with another NL division. I'm trying to get a couple guests with me. I know for the AL, I have locked down a guest for all AL division previews. Should be fun. Otherwise, hit the like button. I will get you a promo code, so don't sign up for RunPureBets until I get you a promo code, all right? Baseball's about to start next Thursday. We got a week. Let me see if they got me a promo code yet. If not, no. Not yet, but next video I'll give you a promo code. Don't worry, RunPureBets.com. The boys are rolling. You'll see a lot more of Joey work on the channel. Much love. Appreciate you all. Joey works out.